Hey everyone, it's Lucky with Unfiltered Lucky, and today I want to begin talking about the Noah Presgrove case. Now, I've been following this case for a while now. It happened in 2023 in Oklahoma. It's captivating. There's a lot of details that surround this case that simply do not make sense. I felt like this was the perfect time to begin talking about Noah Presgrove because the Presgrove family just recently filed a civil lawsuit against basically everyone involved. So they're looking for answers. They do not believe that what happened to their son Noah was an accident. So today I'm going to go through the backstory and we're going to talk about some of these details that are definitely going to have you scratching your head. Noah Presgrove was a 19-year-old young man. He was from a very small town called Comanche, Oklahoma. And when I say small, we're talking about 4.5 square miles and 1,400 residents. So it was small, surrounded by a lot of farmland as well as other small towns. Now, Noah had just recently graduated from Comanche High School, where he was a four-sport athlete. So Noah was very athletic, and he was described by his friends and family as someone who was very popular among his friends. He was very well liked. They say he was kind with a good sense of humor. Now, after graduation, Noah had planned to go into the Marine Corps with his cousin. Noah's best friend was Jack Newton, and Noah and Jack had been best friends since preschool. Now, a few months after Noah graduated, in September of 2023, he was invited to a party over the Labor Day weekend by his friend Avery Combs. It was her 22nd birthday. So Noah and his family already had plans for a family vacation over this Labor Day weekend. But he had just graduated high school. He wanted to hang out with his friends, and all of his friends were going to be at Avery's party, which was happening about 35 minutes from where Noah lived in Terrell, Oklahoma. Avery was also the sister of Noah's best friend Jack's girlfriend, Carter Combs. So, of course, Jack was going to be there, and it was going to be a lot of close friends. They estimated that there was going to be about 9 to 10 people there, and this party was going to last over the entire Labor Day weekend. Noah opted to stay behind from his family trip and go to Avery's party. Now, there were only 9 to 10 people invited to this party, but over the course of the weekend, they say that around 40 people showed up, which I can't imagine is too uncommon. This was a very well-documented party. A lot of the people who were there were posting videos and photos on their social networks. And it seems like in a small town like that, people would see these posts and maybe want to stop by the party. So it's estimated that 40 people ended up going to Avery's party. And a lot of these people were not known by the original group of friends who were invited. Now, there was a lot of drinking and there was a lot of underage drinking. There was teenagers as young as 16 years old at this party. So if there was adult supervision, it doesn't seem as though they were doing a very good job adulting. Because like I said, after watching some of the videos that were posted by some of the kids who were in attendance at this party, it seems as though it was beginning to spin out of control. These kids had been drinking for a number of days, and this was the final house party that was basically the grand finale. You know, there was kids walking around this party with firearms, which I think we would all agree that maybe being intoxicated with firearms is not a good idea. There were kids, playing a game where they slap each other in the face as hard as they can. So it seemed as though this party was beginning to kind of spin out of control. Well, Noah and Jack ended up getting into an argument. They got into an argument because Noah was talking to Jack's girlfriend, Carter Combs. But according to Jack, they basically hugged it out and got over it. Now, at some point during this party, Noah and some friends decided to go out on Jack's side by side. They wanted to go take a ride on his ATV, which again, after drinking for a couple of days, maybe taking a ride on an ATV isn't the best idea. But of course, they're not thinking straight, so they take off and they go for a ride on this ATV. Well, of course, they end up wrecking it. And they roll this ATV. And although nobody was seriously injured, Noah was dirty. He had, rolled this ATV and he needed to take a shower. So it's been said by people at this party that Noah was too intoxicated to clean himself up. So some people from the party helped him out, got him cleaned up, and he borrowed a pair of shorts from his best friend Jack. Now, after Noah's friends get him all cleaned up after his ATV accident and make sure that he's not injured or hurt in any way, he returns to the party and eventually he gets into another argument, this time with a 16-year-old boy who's accusing Noah of hiding his cell phone. Now, the fact that there's a 16-year-old who's intoxicated at this party gives you a little bit of an idea about what kind of supervision was really going on there. But Noah and this kid get into a verbal altercation. And some of the people at the party have said that this argument did turn into a fight. Now, there's some conflicting statements because some people say that it was only an argument. Others are saying that it did get physical. But regardless, Noah did not hide this kid's cell phone. It was later found underneath a partygoer who had passed out on the couch. So after this, Noah decides that he wants to go lay down. He's tired. He's intoxicated. They've been drinking for a number of days, and he wants to go lay down in Avery's bed. Well, she's not having that. She wants to sleep in her own bed, so she offers Noah a spot on the floor. Well, feeling a little bit rejected, Noah decides that he's going to go for a walk to clear his head. As he's getting ready to leave, he can only find one of his shoes, so he grabs a random shoe and puts it on and walks into the darkness. Now, according to Noah's friends, it was not uncommon for him to get intoxicated and walk away from the party. As a matter of fact, they said that it was quite common for him to do that. And after he walked away, one of his friends even posted on her social networks that Noah has left the party. This was at 3:30 a.m. on September 4th of 2023, and this would be the last time that Noah's friends see him alive. When Noah left the party, he was wearing the shorts that he borrowed from his best friend Jack, a mismatched pair of shoes, and a chain around his neck that was a gift from his grandmother that he never took off. Now, just before 6 a.m., a truck driver is traveling on Highway 81, only 1 mile from Avery Combs' house, 1 mile from where this party was happening, and he sees a body off to the side of the road. It's laying basically on the white line on the highway. So he pulls his truck up so that cars can't run over him, and he calls 911. When law enforcement gets there, they find a young man. He's basically kind of contorted, but he's in a fetal position. He's completely nude with the exception of the mismatched shoes. Now there's a few things laying around his body, including some hair, some teeth, as well as a chain. It's broken and laying around the body. His shorts are found about 25 feet away from where he was found. So it seemed kind of odd because it looked as though maybe he had been struck by a car, but there were no skid marks. There was no car parts. There were no what seemed like injuries to his lower body. Now his skull was cracked in half, and it was also fractured away from his spinal cord. There was a lot of upper body injuries, including lacerations, but it didn't appear as though this was a hit and run. Shortly after law enforcement finds this young man on Highway 81, Jack Newton, Noah Presgrove's best friend, is driving on that same highway. He's going to meet his dad and his brothers for an early morning fishing trip, and he sees the accident. He sees his best friend Noah, and that's when he's identified. So now they know who this young man is. Now, law enforcement questions everyone who was at this party, or everyone that they can confirm was at this party. And they're getting statements. They're trying to find answers. People from the party seem to have different recollections of what really happened that night. So it raises some eyebrows for law enforcement. But they can't determine whether Noah was possibly, lost his life by being beaten, or if it was a possible hit and run. Like I said, it didn't appear that Noah had been hit by a car. There were no car parts, there were no skid marks, and it just didn't look like the type of scene where someone was hit by a car. And of course, there's the question, why was he naked? That didn't make a lot of sense. So the medical examiner determined that Noah lost his life to multiple injuries, including blunt force trauma and fractures to his skull and spine. But the medical examiner could not say what exactly took Noah's life. So it's unknown. There's been conflicting recollections from people who were at this party. There's been some conflicting stories about this ATV accident, these arguments, and possible physical altercations that Noah Presgrove was involved in at the party. Now, of course, all of these kids were intoxicated, and there was a lot of underage drinking. So law enforcement may not be getting the whole story. But Noah's family definitely believes that law enforcement is not getting the entire story, and they filed a civil lawsuit recently in order to get answers. They don't believe that what happened to their son Noah was an accident. Now, people have come out who were at this party and who were friends of Noah's, and they're saying that there's some very strange details surrounding this case. They don't necessarily believe the statements that were made by a lot of the people who were at this party. Now, this is just the backstory. We're going to deep dive into the details of the Noah Presgrove case because there's a lot going on here. The Presgrove family has reached out to the public because they want to raise awareness and they're looking for answers. Because regardless of how Noah Presgrove lost his life, there is someone out there who took it. So stay tuned because we're going to do a deep dive into this case and it's going to get real interesting. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I really do appreciate it. And if you liked my video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. I hope that you all had an amazing day. We'll see you next time.